The US is making military moves in the Middle East as the president looks to pressure Iran to the negotiating table. Iran's nuclear program has been a point of contention for Donald Trump, who has set a one-month deadline for a deal. Joining us live now is Iran Program Senior Director for the Foundation of Defence for Democracies, Ben Taleblu. But Behnam, thank you very much for joining us. So the world's largest aircraft carrier has been deployed to the Middle East. Donald Trump thinks that the next round of talks with Iran will be successful, but he said if not, it will be a bad day for Iran. Talk us through what the latest is.
Great to be with you, Janie. You know, President Trump is quite keen to be right now commander-in-chief as well as negotiator-in-chief when it comes to the Islamic Republic. He's got one aircraft carrier in the CENTCOM area of operations, quite close to Iran, and he's bringing in a second one right now, a second full carrier strike group, by the way. That certainly gives the president's words considerably more leverage, considerably more punchiness to them, and considerably more firepower as Donald Trump is actually sharpening the knife against the neck of Tehran's theocrats while he seeks to get them to fully dismantle what's left of their nuclear program.
And it's interesting, I noticed that your organisation recently posted an hour ago high-resolution satellite imagery of Iran's largest remaining nuclear facility, shows a recent rush to protect it from potential US or Israeli aerial attack, according to the Institute for Science and International Security. What more can you tell us here?
Sure. So the Islamic Republic is probably betting that if negotiations fail, America and or Israel will be striking what's left of the regime's nuclear facilities. And in fact, that satellite imagery you're referring to refers to a site called Pickaxe Mountain, which is believed to have tunneling even deeper than the sites that President Trump struck back in June. It is not fully operational yet, meaning there's no uranium being enriched there. But the West does suspect that that is where, in the future, if the regime doesn't give up what's left of its nuclear program, that's where they'll do it. So they're engaging in hardening right now. But the Iranians should always know that the West, in particular Uncle Sam, has a bigger bomb.
And the head of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, said at the Munich Security Conference that the non-proliferation regime remains one of the few elements of predictability and certainty in a turbulent world. What more can you tell us on that statement?
Well, in general, if you zoom out, not just with respect to non-proliferation, but arms control, things have been shaky. The international community has failed to be able to meaningfully defend some of the non-proliferation rules and regulations when it comes to some of its most stringent violators, and things have fallen back on individual actors, be they America, to hold the Russians accountable. And, you know, there is no major strategic arms control governing the two sides right now for the first time in many, many decades. And then with respect to the Islamic Republic of Iran, the world's foremost state sponsor of terrorism, seeking the world's most dangerous weapons, it's been nearly a solo mission for America militarily with the Israelis. They've had considerable European help over the past 1 or 2 years to get political pressure. But I would actually say the non-proliferation regime is in trouble because of the numbers of carve-outs and because of the ability of so many proliferators like the Islamic Republic to grow their programs, to grow their capabilities, and keep one foot in and one foot out of this system.
And what are your thoughts also at the Munich Security Conference? The German Chancellor spoke about the importance of increasing security with Germany and Europe.
Well, certainly, Germany is playing a very interesting and, dare I say, dynamic role when it comes to European defense. But I think Washington is looking for everyone, all 27 members of the European Union, to be meeting their defense obligations, particularly when we're talking about rising Russia, and we're past year 2 of the war in Ukraine here. But also there were some interesting comments on the sidelines from other European figures, particularly the head of the parliament and the president, about other areas where the Europeans have recently gotten good on. And they recently took a page from the Australian playbook to prescribe the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, in its entirety as a terrorist organization. That, too, is a good sign if we're looking at increasing European, if not German-led seriousness when it comes to countering the rising world of threats around them.
And so getting back to the talks with the US and Iran, we just saw a package earlier about Donald Trump talking about the right deal. What is the right deal that Donald Trump is talking about?
To be brutally honest, there is no right deal in my view, personally and professionally at the moment, after the Islamic Republic has killed anywhere from 36 to 43,000 Iranian civilian protesters under the cover of an internet blackout just last month. So if one is, quote unquote, engaging in negotiations here, it should be negotiating to get the Islamic Republic out of business and to get the Iranian people, which are the most pro-American and pro-Israeli people in the heartland of the Muslim Middle East, into power and into control of their own destinies. But I think right now Donald Trump is strategically cultivating, you could say, ambiguity and uncertainty, looking for the full nuclear dismantlement of the Islamic Republic, looking for missiles being on the table, looking for the regime's proxy forces being on the table, and looking for human rights being on the table. The question is, what is the U.S. going to be giving the world's foremost state sponsor of terrorism in return? And are we going to miss this historic opportunity to stand with the Iranian people and make good on the multiple promises Donald Trump gave them in January?
Behnam, as always, we really appreciate your analysis. Thank you so much.